a partner, we encourage you to be one, and we'll tell you how you can get access to it as well. We do have a Q&A area in the GoToWebinar control panel, so please use that, engage with us. We'll answer questions either live during Ugo and Junior sharing about OneXafe Solo, or we'll do it via chat. And anything we don't get to, we'll stay on for a couple minutes to address those, and then we'll email anything we aren't able to get to at all. So here's a quick preview of how we're going to spend the next 45 minutes to an hour. We're going to take a few minutes to share a little bit about what Storagecraft has been up to for the last 6 to 12 months, as Doug alluded to. Then we'll talk about our observations about today's BDR landscape. We'll jump into how we saw an opportunity to address that landscape with a truly differentiated solution with OneXafe Solo. And then my colleagues, who, by the way, are Ugo Parra, who's our Senior Director of Product Management, and Junior Silva, who's our product manager on this awesome solution, will dive deep into that differentiation and what it means to your businesses and your customers' businesses. So Junior's going to take a few minutes to show you this powerful product's ease of deployment and management, and then we're going to talk about how we can continue the conversation, continue to engage, and get this product into your hands. So a quick introduction for folks who are new to the Storagecraft organization, or a reintroduction for partners that we have on the line who work with us today. As a reminder of where we've been and where we'll continue to head, we've been bringing the partner community world-class data protection solutions for almost 2 decades, since 2003, and proud to be a pioneer in data protection innovation with, specifically first out of the gate with some snapshotting technology and unparalleled recovery features over time. And for the last year or so, we've been hard at work, committed, as Doug alluded to our focus on consistently delivering the most reliable, the most comprehensive backup and disaster recovery and data protection solutions available on the market today. And we're looking forward to sharing with you, just as we talked about, some of that innovation with OneXafe Solo. So as a technology partner serving customers solely through our channel community, and Junior, you can flip to the next slide. Our job is to make sure that our innovation prepares you to bring them solutions that actually solve business challenges. And especially now, when those challenges have a real threat, as Doug alluded to with the ransomware, being more pervasive than ever, and the repercussions that all of those threats might have around their productivity. So our recent innovation journey has allowed us to offer partners a real true business continuity platform, right? A set of solutions that spans the entire category. We want you to bring the very best technology to your customer, but also bring solutions that allow you to really open up your addressable market, the ability to swim upstream and create opportunity. Today, we're going to focus on the left-hand lower corner of how our platform spans the partner business model as well as the customer with our newest addition to the family, OneXafe Solo. And again, we are very pleased to bring the partner community our compact but extremely powerful direct-to-cloud appliance that features our best-in-class data protection shadow safe. And here's what we can promise you. This is a truly differentiated appliance, and we're not treating the appliance space as business as usual. We've created a solution that has literal plug and protect capability. You plug it in, you connect to the internet, and you're protecting customers immediately. Ugo is going to share with you how flexible this solution is, how you can either pull it right out of the box, begin your protection strategy, or there's a ton of extensibility involved as well. We've taken a look at some of the pain points created in today's solutions, and we've also created unprecedented scale in this particular space. And here's the thing, what we've done is ensure that partners can fully optimize standardization in this category, which has been tough to do until now. It's such a critical part of your managed offering. We take that seriously. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Ugo. He's going to take us through the details of this powerful solution.
Thank you, Janine. Hey guys, this is Ugo Parra. Super happy and excited to be launching this product and been talking to you about it. I'll remind you that as I go through this content and tell you what some of these features, some of the capabilities, and what we're trying to accomplish with to help our partners with it, that if you have questions or comments that you would like us to address, that you are free to use the chat. We'll be looking at that and we'll be addressing and making comments on those comments as we go along throughout this session. So the first thing that I wanted to touch on here is that when we set ourselves to design from the get-go this particular solution, we asked ourselves a very, very key question, which is, are there enough VDR solutions out in the market today, right? Isn't that space overpopulated with different options and alternatives? And we set ourselves to say, we will not just ship another thing that looks like everything else and addresses the exact same problem space. Is there a real need? And that drove a research on our part that went for several months and dozens of partners. And as we talked to them, and we have hundreds, and you guys are part of that ecosystem, we learned that there were many pitfalls to the current implementations. We included partners that use VDRs that they buy off the shelf, off the rack. And we also had a number of partners that build their own solutions to be able to provide better protection for their clients. And as we went through those interviews and dug deep into what they're doing, we found that there were a ton of pain points that in many cases, surprisingly to us, people have just become used to it. And they just took it as a fact of life, right? It's what it is. We found that there's a lot of partners that spend an ordinary amount of effort and time trying to figure out what specific needs a customer is going to have, not just today, but in the next year or two, right? And so sizing that up, how many machines, how fast are those machines growing? Are these guys expanding, or are they in a rough spot of the market, right? And then try to fit the right solution to them. We came across partners that were using, anywhere between 3 and 7 different models, just to be able to size the right piece. But then beyond that, as the needs of those customers change, we find a lot of cost, a lot of inefficiency in trying to adjust for that, right? Coming and having to replace a machine with another when something changes that was not planned for, and all that introduced inefficiencies. We also found a lot of pain around customers that partners that use off-the-shelf solutions, in that they felt overly constrained to the ecosystem that solution provided, right? If they had additional resources, if they had data centers of their own, if they had other things that they could leverage, both to be more efficient, but also to differentiate themselves from the next partner, they found that they were locked out of that, right? And so that has been a constant struggle for them. And then lastly, right, whereas at one point, some of them thought that it would be a great differentiation for them to have enough expertise to build their own, they quickly finding out that as their businesses have evolved, that is less and less of a distinguishing factor. And in fact, the cost that it takes to somebody go and replace an appliance, to update drives, to update operating systems, et cetera, is just something that's costing tons and tons of pain and wasted time and effort in doing that. So with that, what we decided is to move ahead and design a system that would leapfrog all those shortcomings and provide a solution that was extremely attractive as far as the capabilities and the price, but also that would just change completely that mode of operation that has caused all these pain points. So this is a summary of that solution. This is a really high-level view of what we came up with, and it has 3 key components that I want to call out in here. The first one is the appliance itself, which is here at the center, and it highlights 2 pieces, 2 aspects of this appliance. One is the diversity, just above it, the diversity of environments that a single appliance and a single model can protect, right? And below is the different ways in which it can offer that protection. So notice that the same appliance can protect virtual environments, it can protect physical environments, it can be servers, it can be workstations, right? And it can do that at will. But also notice that whereas it has a key capability, which I'm going to talk a lot about here in a minute, to being able to back up directly to cloud so that no local storage is required at that particular client site, that it offers a number of other alternatives to that as well, in addition to that, right? So it can communicate with a local NAS. It can actually take an internal drive, right, for it to be able to back up locally. and it can even use USB drives for a couple of use cases that I'll mention here in a minute. So that versatility of that appliance, being able to do all these jobs, again, one model to do that, is a key part of this story. But then there are two other components that kind of complete that story for our partners. On the left-hand side, we decided from the get-go that this solution will be based on management from the cloud. So not only are we eliminating dependencies on infrastructure on the client side, we're also significantly reducing the requirements and dependencies on what a partner needs to provide in their own office, on their own data center, right? So someone can just go and create an account, become basically a tenant on this one system management environment, and from there, from one central location, being able to manage any number of Solo appliances, protecting any number of machines at client environments. So amazing way to just deploy this without having to do a lot of work, a lot of prep up for that. And then on the right-hand side, the third component, which is we came across a number of appliances that claim to say, hey, we can do disaster recovery for you. And as we started digging into it, we couldn't really find very many. And I'm being extremely generous here, not very many that had good experiences failing over onto any of those appliances. And we figured out, well, how can we leapfrog that? And the answer to that is leveraging the cloud, right? We have amazing resources. We have orchestrated failover. We have things that could really scale for someone to run for a long period of time, and more than one, any number of workloads on the cloud. And by combining these three components, right, we ended up with a solution that's very, very unique and powerful and flexible above all things. So let me talk a little bit about what that little box looks like, right? Because there are a couple of things here that are worth noticing. Number one, I'll call out that the power of this machine is significant, right? It has capabilities that will allow you to easily protect not just one, not two, not three, but a very large number of servers. Whereas it's perfectly a great solution to have in a doctor's office where there's one or two servers to protect. It can also scale to many environments. We're currently testing with 20 and upwards of 20 servers, and the power of this machine is sufficient to do that. Contrast that, by the way, with so many of the partners that we interviewed that were running their BDR capabilities, sharing a machine with a SQL database, or running on some Windows 10 box that someone had left in the corner, hoping that no one would turn it off, etc. And you can see the great improvement that this experience is going to provide for us. Another piece here that I'll call out is the dimensions themselves of this machine, right? It's basically under 5 inches by 2 inches, right? It's something that when we set ourselves to do this stuff, we said, this needs to scale, but it also needs to not require someone, a technician, to be on site to deploy it, to rack it up, to figure out a specific spot where this can be deployed. And the dimensions of this just enable that to do exactly that. And another thing that I'll call here, just kind of right above that dimensions, is the fact that the storage and how the capacity that this unit can provide is not limited to what you can put inside of it, right? I kind of drove that point before, but just to drive that through there's protocols that we provide for efficiently writing to the StorageCraft cloud, but also to other external devices that are powerful. The USB support for that USB port serves a couple of functions. One is somebody can just plug a storage device there for the purpose of backing things up to it, but it's also the means for our partners that might have very large machines that they would like to seed to our cloud to be able to put that in a USB drive and then send that seed drive to StorageCraft for us to do that more expeditiously. So this is what that looks like. We think that it provides, in all the testing that we've done, we conducted an extended beta cycle for this over 5 months, and we've seen great results because of that. So what does that take us to? I talked about the capabilities, but what you can expect from it is these 4 different areas. Number 1 is one box to be able to meet the needs of a very broad variety of customer profiles, right? That will basically be able to grow as they grow, right? Without having to replace that machine, without having to go and change the requirements for that, because it's able to protect all those environments, and it's able to do that by being managed through a central location, right? It will also be able to leverage infrastructure that you might have in there, never an exclusion to the ability to back up and being able to fail over to the cloud. So no matter what may happen somewhere else, you always have that safety net that you can just fail over and continue to have your business running on the cloud. And then one aspect that is important that we spend a lot of attention to is a number of ways to recover, right? Backup is important. Being able to replicate your data to where you need it is important. But in a crisis, being able to get your environment and business back on its feet is critical. So we have a broad number of ways to recover from on an agent, on a VM, Hyper-V, VMware. But we are highlighting in here the ability to do instant recovery, which basically allows someone to be able to almost instantaneously, within under a second, to be able to boot up an environment that has failed and be able to start recovering it really, really quick while the data is being streamed to the location where it needs to run on a permanent basis. So these are enterprise type of capabilities, but it's been offered for any environment out there through this Solo appliance. The last thing that I'll say here is this being able to integrate the piece to be able to be managed from any location, right? And being able to have that cloud that we talked about to be able to fail over, orchestrated any number of servers onto the cloud. So here are some of the environments.
Hey, Ugo, before you jump in, I just had a quick, I think you're going to talk to this, but a quick question. I love it when they engage during, and if we can. The question was, can the USB port accept a USB hub and then multiple USB drives? I think you're going to talk about this here, but I wanted to let you know that question came up and not steal your thunder, but that is a question on deck.
Perfect. I think we're going to cover a little bit of that here as Julia gets into the demo. But like I said, there's a number of use cases for that. And we've made this thing smart enough where you would just plug this drive to this appliance and it will know exactly what to do, whether it is for the purposes of using it for backups or whether it is for the purposes of seeding things up to the cloud. So very powerful approach. Junior, any additional comments on that?
Yeah, that's exactly the goal. Is, I mean, even a C drive, we understand the current processes that our people are doing today with our cloud, but we wanted something that was very plug and play. That again, the whole idea that you don't have to have someone expertise or someone on site that knows exactly what to do and where to click, where a C drive can even be shipped to the end user and they just plug in that USB, and guess what? We start replicating all the machines that are marked for C drive, and everything is managed through that one system, that single pane of glass, but allows you to give you that flexibility. Even when seeding, it's an automated process.
Quick follow-up question, and I'd like to get back to it. Is there a max USB size that's supported?
There's not a max USB size. So if you have a 12 terabyte, 14, and in the future, 18, 20, whatever, that's supported.
Great questions, guys. Thank you so much. Keep it coming. So let me just give an example of what those capabilities enable our partners to do. Again, what I will highlight here is a single appliance and the single model to be able to cover all these different environments. Depicted here are different environments that are being protected, all physical on the left-hand side, to some variations of virtual, whether it be VMware, just ESXi or Hyper-V. And then also notice at the different ways of storing and what to do with that protected data, from the simplest case, and we hope and believe will be one of the most common ways, which is sending everything to cloud, right, where everything will be always protected and has a very, very small footprint, both on the partner's environment, but also on the customer site environment, to being able to use local storage, internal storage, and USB drive. Again, all backed up, all being provided through cloud management and cloud disaster recovery. So a number of options here for our customers. So that is the high-level overview of Solo. And what we want to do, we're going to have a series of this webcast. We're going to drill into different aspects of the solution. And what we want to drill in this particular webcast today is around the actual deployment experience of the solution. I claimed, and Janine claimed earlier, that we spend a lot of work making this be a streamlined, extremely simple experience. So I want to tee up that demonstration that Junior will do in just a minute, but kind of just speaking through what that looks like. First of all, we made it so that a partner has a very simple experience, and I'll talk more details on that after the demo, on how to go and order for this, for a machine. They don't have to specify how many machines they plan to protect through that Solo appliance. They just need to say to the distie, I need one of these appliances and I want it shipped to this particular client, right? And that will initiate the process of that being drop shipped to that client. Because of the format, the format of this appliance and the model that we support, anyone, right? Anyone at that location can simply plug it to power, plug it to the network, and they'll be done, right? All we have to do is say, yeah, it's there. This appliance is designed to call home and to inform our management console, which we call OneSystem. That's the same name. It's the same console that we're using to manage all the other products in StorageCraft. So you'll be pleased to hear that. So it will go and let it know that it has been plugged and it's ready to be activated. Then the partner will go to that cloud OneSystem cloud hosted management console and say, okay, let me see it. It will be there ready to be claimed. And basically that it requires it to just assign it to a site. And at that point, they're ready to start protecting their environment. So extremely streamlined. You're going to see some of that here in just a minute. And we're very proud. And we think that this would really help our partners that are looking at minimizing or completely cutting out visits to those customers for the purposes of maintaining and being able to manage the data protection at those environments. So with that, I'm going to just turn the time here to Junior, who will tell us a little bit about what he's going to demo for us. Junior, please go ahead.
We had a quick question before Junior transitions. I think it's a good one to just nip in the bud. Is Azure and AWS storage supported, or I read that wrong? Are Azure and AWS storage supported?
They can be supported in a few ways, not directly to Azure, but using Azure Sync, or if you're using the storage gateway that for AWS, where it provides an SMB or an NFS interface, we can write directly to those.
Great.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. I appreciate it, and thank you, Hugo, for that setup. And we really wanted to, like Hugo said, we had some challenges, and it started all with provisioning. How do we get from, you're going into different environments, all of your customers, they're not all the same. Some of them have infrastructure, some of them don't. Some of them have storage laying around, some NAS that you could use, and all of those things. Because of the different ways, we said, look, is there a way that we can have this flexibility where you don't have to try to figure out all of these things? You don't have to try to size and try to put their environment literally in a box. Let's expand out of that box and have the ability to use the infrastructure. So there's greater ROI for the customer. There's greater flexibility for you. the scalability of this solution, it can keep growing as the customer grows. There's not a certain limit, you know, up to 4 machines. Well, if you now you have a new machine that gets added, you have to figure out which one's not going to get protected. We didn't want to have those restrictions and truly allow you to focus on how do you best protect that environment. So what I'm going to show here and go through is from Ugo's previous slide. It's the part where, you know, as a partner, you've already made the order. It's one SKU. It goes to the end user, and the end user plugged in the Ethernet, and they plugged in the power. And then I'm going to go into the console to kind of show that experience from there. So I access my one system, and this is from the StorageCraft new hosted one system at storagecraft.com. It's live right now. And once I log in into the new experience, what you'll notice is that in the top right, there's a little blinking light, and there's a Solo that needs to be activated. The cool part about this is that some people actually in the beta, we had about 80 beta units, and they said, it's like, oh, my Solo just showed up, and I didn't know how that came about. And that's a part of an auto entitlement feature that we added, that as soon as that's shipped to the end user, that Solo device is auto entitled to that partner's account. What that means, it's as soon as it turns on and it's connecting and it's talking to home, it can already be used. And so it gives you the partner so you know, okay, they plugged in the device, so I can go ahead and activate this device. And the activation, pretty simple. We pull through the Solo device, you have the serial number, and then you have your sites associated to the device. And as part of all you need to do is just assign it to a site, and in this case, any of the StorageCraft sites. And that is the final piece of the setup. And a lot of times when we got to this point, people are like, that's it? That's on the previous slide they saw from Google. Step 4 was just assigned to a site, and that's it. From that point forward, it's just protection, is just installing an agent or doing host space backup and just entering the credentials. All of the workflows that are the new workflows with ShadowSafe that we've had for the last 2 years, the exact same workflows apply here. So nothing, we didn't want to create a different experience and well, for this scenario, you do this, for this scenario, you do that. Also, if it's your first time ever ordering anything from us, most likely we wouldn't have the first information. And what that allows you to do, if you're not seeing the device over here, there's a sticker with a claim code on the device, and you're able to claim that device manually. So for whatever reason, if they're during the order, or if distribution gets some of the order, some part of the data wrong, no worries, you can always get the device. And you can do this because you already receive that code, so you don't even need to ask, you know, your customer to read you over the phone any of that code. So just wanted to kind of show this again. Again, the only thing they need is they plug it in, and this process, they made the order, it got drop shipped to the end user. The end user plugged in the power in Ethernet and turned on the device. It grabbed an IP address through DHCP. It talked out to our one system, and we knew that this was the account, and so it's ready to be claimed and associated to a site. And let me pause right there. Any questions? And this is the process. This is the setup and the deployment. Looks
no
like
right now, Junior, but we'd have a question about rotated media being supported. So while you're transitioning through this demo, maybe that's a question you can answer.
yes. So with media, it can be supported. USB, we detect in the storage, like Google was showing. You can add any number, so NFS, SMB, iSCSI, or StorageCraft Cloud. What you don't see on this list that you don't need to do extra work for is you can plug in a drive and it will show up as an external drive, and it will be ready to be claimed. Once that's claimed, then you could swap those drives, and that wouldn't have any issue. We detect that, oh, this is this drive, and we keep moving forward and syncing up that data.
And then what if no DHCP? That's a question that just popped up as well.
Great question. If there's no DHCP, we allow the device to have, when it's not configured and it doesn't get a DHCP, the Wi-Fi on the device is enabled and allows you to go in, connect to that Wi-Fi with a laptop or anything, and then you can statically set that that IP address. And then once it's set up, it turns off the Wi-Fi automatically for security, obviously.
Great.
Okay, great question, guys. Hugo, I can switch back to you. Actually, one more before I do that. I do like to show, sometimes people were asking about scalability, and they're asked, well, can I really protect that many machines? And I'll pull up a random machine. That's how you know it's real. You always need one red bar. Pulling up one of the machines that we can access for the, so you can see about the 20 mark of what we're protecting.
Here's a quick question while you're doing that. Is there an offline management without using, I think it means one system, it says OneXafe. Can you perform the same functions locally if there's no internet connection available? That's a great question. I've heard that, yeah.
Yes, you can perform the functions locally, but there's a little bit more UI involved at that part.
Great.
And I come back, we're doing some updates to one system right now, so I'll come back to this. But back to you, Hugo.
Janine, yeah, thank you. Thank you, Junior, for showing us that. A couple questions that I've seen come through. One is, so can this appliance actually do backups internally, or does it always need to rely on external storage? One of the configurations that is enabled in this is for an internal drive to be deployed. It can be up to 4 terabytes according to the current products that are shipping. And so it can do that as well. And in fact, in combination with being able to back up and replicate to other destinations. So the flexibility is really unsurpassed. The other question that came out is, can we give some details on how we perform that instant restore? The name that we give that feature is Virtual Boot. And many of you who've worked with SPS, Shadow Protect, or even Shadow Save or OneXafe have heard us talk about that at some length. And it's basically the ability to be able to read a recovery point, right? And being able to feed that data. First of all, we know to start with bootable data to begin with, and we start routing that data to the virtual machine that has been initiated. And at the same time it's doing that, is feeding that information to the primary storage for that VM is going to use. And that's what brings that instantaneous booting up of that machine. We are planning, for your information, we are planning to do a follow-up deep dives into different aspects of Solo. And that is one that we are planning to do. We'll have a demo. You'll see that in action. So lots of more details to come. But that is kind of the main flow of how we accomplish that.
Thank you.
Awesome.
And
yep.
That's I was able to. You have to use the right password when getting in, so that's a good thing. And this is an environment that's protecting. We have 20 machines, and I wanted to show something that had some, how would you be notified if there's something going on with a backups? Example, if the StorageCraft VSS provider wasn't used. So that's shown right there. You can click on it, drill down. All of this information, the activity. If you notice the backups, we automatically scale and spread out. So there's a nice, good, about even load on the system. So it can keep scaling as the business is scaling. So you don't need to keep messing a lot with backup schedules and things like that. And then on the policies, again, you can see on this case, this one's going to an external drive and it's backing up every 15 minutes and then replicating over to our cloud. All of this functionality, you can back up directly to our cloud. Everything would be depending on what you select, but I just wanted to show the on this scenario. And obviously you can have your knock view and turn it into a little bit darker so you can see a little better at night.
And then what OS is OneXafe running?
The OS the one system, or the same with ShadowSafe. It's a Send 7 underneath, and that's what it's running.
And here's a great question. By watching the demo, this person is indicating that the throughput looks a little bit low. Is there a bottleneck identifier?
There's ways that you can see what kind of throughput you would have. Depends a lot on the system itself and what load we can put it. So these VMs, these test VMs, they're really small with, and because we have to get so many to do load testing, they're under spec for Windows, for even Windows to run pretty much on it. So that's why you'll see that.
And can email alerting be set up, or does the partner have to log into the panel to see errors?
Integrations with ConnectWise, integrations with other, ConnectWise managed. We have a two-way ticketing integration where any backup errors that will happen, they automatically get opened up a ticket in ConnectWise. If it resolves itself or if there's any changes, it automatically closes those tickets. I know you guys have been asking that for a long time. There's also some integration through, you can redirect logs, a lot of also Logly, Stash, Logstash, all Splunk. You can also integrate with those. So we kept the platform really open that you can, and we know that not every MSP does things exactly the same. Some are using Grafana, Nagios, or all of those things are options that can be used, and we can also give you the APIs to do any work. Yep.
So essentially, there's a lot of integration efforts around ticketing and alerts.
Yes.
Exactly. Thank you, Junior. That's awesome. And as you can see, I mean, Junior just touched the tip of the iceberg on that UI and all the things that you can do. And like I said, we are going to follow up with information, webcasts, and other FAQs so that you can get all the details on what's coming in there. But what I'd like to talk about is one last aspect of the Solo offering that is also going to be a huge benefit for our partners, and it is that the way to purchase Solo and consume its value is become incredibly simple, right? First of all, we're listing some MSRPs here. These are list prices, just to give you a rough idea for specific pricing information. Or contact the partner that you purchase the products from, distribution. You get the details on that, but you give it a rough idea from here. The point in here is that at the time of ordering, right, all you need to do is to say, I need 1, 2, 3, however many of these machines to be sent. Notice what you don't need to do at that point. You don't need to say, oh, I needed to protect 2 machines or 5 machines or any number, right? You say, I need these things deployed, ship drop to a specific location, and then they're on their way. And then after that time, then this appliance is starting to serve and protect the machines that you assign to the console and to a policy that Junior just showed, right? You don't need to be going to any particular portal. You don't need to be making calls to distribution. You don't need to be making calls to StorageCraft to say, hey, the number of machines is going up or it's going down. You should do that. And then on a monthly basis, we just let you know what you protected and what billing information pertains to that. So to be more specific, if we go to the next slide, you'll see some of that, right? The specifics on that is that gone are the days where you have to hit the number of machines on the head from the get-go, right? You just deploy an appliance, that number goes up 1 month, then invoicing is going to reflect it. If it goes down the next month, likewise, right? And nothing needs to be done differently other than assigning or unassigning a policy from protecting a specific machine. Everything else, all the other work is being done automatically. And the information that partners will get on that will be incredibly detailed, right? Including what appliances they are using, where they have been deployed, at what site, right? And what machines will identify the specific machines that are being protected by each appliance. And then with that information, partners can do the appropriate billing to their own clients and be able to leverage that. A side note here, I made a comment on how cloud is always available for these servers. And what that means is that for each machine that is being protected through Solo, you get entitlement to 1 terabyte of storage on the StorageCraft cloud. And that is pooled across a partner. So if I'm a partner and I'm using Solo to protect 10 sites, 10 customers of mine, 10 clients, and I have deployed an appliance at each one of those locations, right? That gives me, and then each one has 1 or 2 machines. For each machine, right, it just goes into the pool an additional 1 terabyte, right? So if at each one of those locations I have 2 machines, then effectively I'll be protecting 20 machines, which gives me access to 20 terabytes to be pooled across all my clients for that. And then we provide all kinds of provisions for additional things that might be corner cases. Somebody wants to have something very specific thing set up for a particular machine. Our billing is flexible enough to account for that. And with that, another benefit that comes with it is, by the way, every time that somebody buys a Solo appliance, that comes with 24/7 support. And not only that, but as long as our customers are renting that, using that machine, they're entitled to replace that at any given time. They don't have to think, oh, do I have 2 more years left of a warranty, or 3 years left on this, or almost over. At any time that something happens to that machine, they can come and they say, hey, I need it to be replaced for whatever reason, and they're done with that. And the replacement experience, we have streamlined it a little bit based on the fact that seldom data will reside inside that box, right? And configuration information is all in the cloud. So being able to have that RMA will be a very simple experience for them. And if you compare that against the experience that you have today, talk to your technicians, right, about what it takes to go and replace a machine at a remote location. You can see the contrast quite vividly. So with that, let's think through what we've discussed here. I think we spent the last 45-50 minutes talking a lot about a number of use cases that are directly addressed by this OneXafe Solo solution. And you here on the audience might be directly associated and might be very familiar with those some of those pain points. But if you're not, I would invite you to take some account, visit with the people that are doing this, and ask questions such as, how much growth are we seeing in our clients, and what type of process, what kind of flow is that requiring us to engage in order to account for that, right? How often are we having to resize, replace those appliances, and how long that takes, right? And I've asked some people to do a little bit of that, and they're always amazed at when they go, okay, over the last 2 years, how many visits have we made at a client for the purposes of this BDR business? And they're often amazed not only on how many of them, but how extensive that effort is each time. Ask yourself how many solutions, how many different models you're managing to be able to provide the best protection to all your customers. Another great question is, have you tested the failover capabilities of your current solution? Has that turned out to be something that you could actually rely on in a crisis, right? Should something fail, how many workloads you expect to fail simultaneously? And can you account for that long term on some of those things? So we believe that the answer to all these needs you're going to find will drive you to take a much closer look at Solo and start deploying it, start using it, and that will have a direct benefit to your business. So with that, Janine, unless there's some more questions, I'd like to turn it back to you for a wrap up.
Yeah, so we do have a ton of questions, but I want to be super mindful of everyone's time. So, and Junior, you can just build this entire slide up. And we're going to stay on. We promised you we wouldn't take more than an hour. So we're going to wrap up in just a couple of minutes here. And if you can stay on, we'll go through some of these questions. And if we don't get a chance to answer them, we will absolutely answer them directly. But right now, we want to make sure we have an opportunity for you guys to continue the conversation. And we're running an exclusive partner offer through the second quarter. That's really a buy and try a OneXafe Solo 300, right? So you have the opportunity to get your hands on it, right? Get your technicians' hands in it, get the help desk team hands in it, in an NFR's capacity by paying just a one-time upfront fee of $999 plus shipping. That's over a $2,000 savings, right? You also get 3 licenses for 1 year. You will purchase and ship those, and those devices will be shipped from our authorized distributors. These buy and try program devices are considered NFR because we know how important it is, for everyone to understand the technology, touch the technology, and fall in love with the technology. We feel good that that's going to happen, and we want to give you the ability to do that. There is the best way to participate in that NFR program is we've created a really quick little link, storagecraft.com/solo. Super easy, storagecraft.com/solo. That'll bring you to a form that you can let us know of your interest. That also tells us that you're also interested in joining Junior's technical deep dive that we have coming up on April 16th, same time, same bat channel, same bat time. And so we want to sort of keep a uniform time frame where you can expect to see things coming from StorageCraft during this time of helping customers and dealing with customers a little bit differently. You can always count on us to be putting our webinars up at about 2 p.m. Eastern each time, and then we'll send a full calendar of those events in the next couple of days. But specifically for a deep technical dive around Solo, join us on 4/16 at 2 p.m. Eastern. Let us know you're interested in that time slot or getting your hands on this powerful device at storagecraft.com/solo. So I'd like
Janine,
to say,
I want to, on that one, just kind of give you guys an idea of what we're going to be talking about, but it's, we have capabilities that have been implemented that will, self-healing capabilities that the Solo, there's no more chaining like you used to have in SPX, and a lot of these self-heal, these optimizations that we did for this, we're going to be covering those. So really cool stuff, some features that are going to make a huge difference on your day-to-day business.
Yep, a big under the hood look. So Junior will be running that. We're excited to have him do that. We want to officially sort of thank Doug, our president, for joining us, saying a few words. We want to thank Ugo. We want to thank Junior. We want to thank you guys, though, especially for taking time out. Kudos to you for understanding that this window of opportunity to take a look at technologies that make a difference to your customers in this new normal is important. So thank you. And again, we will send an email out to all registrants and those who attended with the recording, how to get to the recording, and the option to go to this link and tell us that you'd like to get a Solo in your hands. So we'll stay on for a couple more minutes, but we'll officially sort of end the official broadcast now. We appreciate you guys so much. We're so appreciative of our partner community. We're here making sure that we're bringing solutions that allow us to be as successful as possible during this time. So thanks so much. Have a great rest of your day. And if you did ask the question and it hasn't been answered, we'll stay on for about another 5 minutes to get to those. And thanks so much. Okay, guys, we got a lot of questions. So we're going to take a few of them here if people are staying on. What are the options for replication targets? Does Solo only support replication? Oh, I can't read the rest of this. Hold on. Replication and other OneXafe boxes, or can it replicate backups to a self-hosted offsite cloud storage environment via FTP or IFTP?
It can't replicate via IFTP, so that's not an option there, but it can replicate to a shadow safe service node that's on another environment. It can replicate to any other storage locally. It can replicate to your own data center. It's completely open. It doesn't restrict, oh, you can only replicate to this cloud. Obviously, we know, the great rule of copies of the data, the 3-2-1 in the industry. Yes, you can keep many copies of the data, both local and offsite.
Great. Here's a good question. For those real small companies who have no server at all, just standalone desktops and notebooks, will this work for them to back up their devices?
The device needs to be it needs to have connectivity to those desktops and laptops. But if there is connectivity, yes, it will initiate and perform all the backups. The data path and the backups itself, they'll back up directly to our cloud, for example, if that's the option that you're sending. But yes, it would support that. What it does not support is if it's a, road warriors laptops that just have internet connectivity, don't have any access to where the device that would be able to be managed, then that wouldn't be supported yet.
Great. And then a question on the MSRP. Yes, the $99 that Ugo showed earlier is the partner cost. This is a special program. That's a prepay program that allows you it's our NFR pricing. So just to clarify, Ugo, $99 is the MSRP, as the MSRP is the partner cost. Can you just kind of go into detail on that a little bit?
Yeah, that's just a list. That's just a list price. It gives you a rough idea of where that's going to be for, like I said earlier, for specific pricing for you. It's we encourage you to contact distribution. If you're looking for details on who is out there that you might contact, let us know. We can write you in there. But yeah, that's the monthly MSRP for that service is that $99.
Yeah, so this particular price we're showing on this slide is our NFR program, right? So it's not for resale. It allows you guys to get your hands in it, get your service desk folks familiar with it, etc. Can we use this as a load balancer directly?
No, it's not a load balancer. It wouldn't serve that purpose.
Great. Are we able to use the One System portal to manage existing shadow safe deployments? I believe the answer to that is yes, right?
There'll be some questions around getting your licensing and moved over, because if you do have shadow safe today, you have an on-prem version of that. But I can make that one of the points to talk on a deep dive for the next webinar.
Yeah, and here's a question on virtual boot. We will be sharing virtual boot as a deep dive in our April-May calendar, so keep an eye out for that. We'll send that calendar out to all of our current prospective partners. Virtual boot is very, very, very exciting, and especially right now in the era of recovery, we are very excited to do a deep dive on that. So the answer to that is yes.
One of just a quick teaser on that as well. We've changed the virtual boots on Hyper-V even, that they backfill. So it used to be you had a whole nother process for failing over a machine that you virtually booted, and you couldn't, well, how do I backfill that data? How do I, and you had like a different restore process to do that. That's no longer the case with this technology. You virtual boot and it can instantly backfill, so that's a full restore, but it's up and running instantly. So I'll cover that.
How does a restore back to production hardware to client work? Does it use something like Head Start Restore or something else?
It can use virtual boot technologies. It can use a recovery environment that's built for it, that it connects and it talks to the management system, to onesystem.storagecraft.com. You can initiate, all the restores are initiated, and you can initiate through that single pane of glass.
Great. I'm going to take one last question because we're at the 3 o'clock mark. It's a good one. Are software agents required to be installed on servers that will be backed up?
They're not required for VMware. You can do host-based backup with this unit. You can back up standalone ESXi host-based if they're the standard edition that's licensed. With the ESXi free, it doesn't have those APIs for host-based backup, so those you would install agents. And in Hyper-V, you install agents at the moment, but we have some new functionality coming soon. I don't want to say too much yet, but involves Hyper-V and it's coming soon.
Yeah, I lied, because here's a really good question. I'm going to take one more because I like this question, and it's going to be a little bit of a longer answer. So if you can stay, we'd love it. Could you briefly discuss the process of adding additional storage to the appliance in terms of drive mapping? Is it pooled storage space, so no need to update replication target locations?
It's not pooled. If you're adding local, like a disk to the device, there could only be one. Those are not pooled. So there would be, if you add you can move that disk, or you can put in bigger disks into the device. Both again with the RMA units. If something goes wrong, you get a new one. All of your data sits on each location. As far as changing what that looks like in the policy, you just select a drop down. You don't need to do anything else. Everything else, it will just automatically sync the locations and all that.
I keep on telling fibs because these questions are so good. So many good questions. Could I store a couple of days of backups on the internal drive for quick access and then have everything else go to the cloud?
You can. The cloud itself performs their own retention. So even if you have a couple of days worth locally, the cloud retention is set in the cloud just because there's associated costs on additional recovery points in the cloud. So those are maintained differently. We didn't want an appliance to have control of retention of cloud recovery points, right? Again, for security, if anything gets compromised, it does not touch your offsite recovery points.
Great. We're going to sign off here. There's a question about migrating customers from SPX to OneXafe, or ShadowSafe, I think that question is. And we're going to also have a deep dive on that, right, guys? On the best practices for migrating over to ShadowSafe. So keep an eye out for that. We will definitely share those best practice ideas. And guys, we want to say again how much we appreciate you taking the time out to spend this hour with us. And we hope you have a great rest of your day. And if for some reason we didn't get to your question, you will get a direct email. Thanks all.